All right, we're back on sports. I want to say this right now, all right? I'm not as much angry as I am disgusted of what happened last night. You know what? It's not even just last night. This video in general kind of disgusts me after the things I've seen, okay? But before I get started on the Eagles, which I should fucking get started on the Eagles, I'm not going to start with the Eagles. I'm going to start with American sports programming. Now, for those who know what I'm talking about, I spent some time over in London, over the previous week, and you saw some tweets I was talking about, and I'll put it like this. I want to talk about the way games are broadcasted. American football games are broadcasted over in London as opposed to here in America. All right? Now, as we know, you get your pregame shows. All right? So does London. They get pregame shows for American football as well. Okay? Now, I'll put it like this. During that time of the pregame show, which is kind of laughable. It was laughable. Okay? And some of you had said that's over the UK. You said now you know how we feel about when you do soccer. Yeah, I can see why they get mad at American broadcasting when it comes to soccer, as opposed to how they do things. They're completely different. Okay. Now we'll put it like this: as you know, when you're watching the football game and they go to commercial break, they hit you with a ton of commercials over here in America. Do they not? Car commercials, cell phone commercials, beer commercials, all types of commercials they hit you with. All right. You know what the UK does? They go back to their pregame show. The guys who did the pregame show, they do the commercial break. Which means you don't see commercials during football. When they go to break on football, they go back to guys talking about football. That's what they do. Out of the entire time that I saw, because I believe I called Chargers versus Patriots, right? I saw 3 commercials. 3! The entire football game. 3 commercials. They were for fragrances and colognes. Apparently that's big over in the UK. But that's what it was. There was no beer commercials. There's a pub on every corner. You don't need a beer commercial. There was no car commercials or anything during the football game. No. Every time they went to commercial or injury timeout or whatever, they took that break, they went back to the guys talking about football because they're watching football just like we're watching it at the same time. And they're talking about it as it happens, drive by drive. That's how they're doing it. Why we don't do that here, I don't know. That's ridiculous. And the thing is, those guys also, when they're talking football, they're also taking questions from people on Twitter. So they're answering questions and talking football during commercial breaks. And when that commercial break is over, they go right back to the football game. So they keep you engrossed in the football. They keep you talking about football. I'm telling you, it is an absolute joke. Now that I've seen it, it's an absolute joke the way that American broadcasting, the way they plug you with commercials and push you with commercials constantly during football games or sporting events, absolutely ridiculous compared to how they do things over in the UK. Absolutely ridiculous. They should be ashamed of themselves. Now, speaking of people should be ashamed of themselves, let's get started, all right, with Eagles, Cowboys. I told you before, I'm not mad as much as I am disgusted. Now, I will put it like this. I had said in the beginning of this season, anybody can go back and watch the videos, I said the Eagles would not make it to the Super Bowl this year. However, the playoffs should have been automatic for us. You don't go backwards one year. Like I said, we went to the playoffs and we lost against the Saints. You don't go backwards. You go forwards. Did we have a chance of beating the Packers? Possibly not. Did we have a chance of beating the Seahawks? Yes, we had a chance of beating the Seahawks. But, let's get something straight. During this time when the Eagles lost to the Seahawks, we had to hear all this talk about how Dallas is getting better. Oh, they beat the Bears. Have you seen the Bears' record? They're not even a 500 team. But they beat the Bears, right? So throughout this entire time when I got back, all I had to see was Cowboys, Cowboys, Cowboys. ESPN plugging Cowboys. Our own station is CSN plugging Cowboys. Then NFL. Let me tell you something. NFL Network is NFL AM. It's a good old boy station. It's Cowboy Station. They actually have a designated guy there at Cowboy Stadium with the cheerleaders. For anybody who has seen the show in the morning, you know this is what they do. However, before this game started, this is what the media from Dallas had to say about Tony Romo and the main excuses on why they lost on Thanksgiving.
Obviously, there was some frustration in what happened to their game, but we all know, you guys know as well as I do, this team will go as far as Tony Romo takes them. You go back to that Thanksgiving game, Romo had one of his worst games of the year. He threw for 2 interceptions, did not throw any touchdowns. Following that game, he told us how he did not take a pain injection shot before the game. It's the first time he hadn't done that throughout the season. He talked about how uncomfortable he felt. He missed some throws that he normally would make. The Cowboys had played 2 games in a span of 5 days the last time they saw the Eagles back on Thanksgiving.
All right, first off, he didn't take any pain injections in his back. Well, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? That's not the Eagles' fault, and that's not enough. That's not a good enough excuse. As far as I'm concerned, we've covered this before on these videos about taking injections and carrying on, or actually PEDs. Any type of injection that you take, as far as I'm concerned, that gets you back there playing on the field, I don't care if it's cortisone or not, all right? If it makes you that much stronger, that you can take the pain and get back out there and play, that is a performance-enhancing drug. That's what it is. If he was that hurt and he didn't have to take that medicine, he wouldn't be playing. Because his back hurts too much. Let's put it in perspective here, people. Okay? And you want to use that as an excuse. That's what you want to do. First off, like I said, you can't fault the Eagles for him not taking that, that injection. That's on him. Alright? He thought obviously he was good enough to go without it. That's what he was trying to do. But the fact that you have to inject him with something to get him to go, to get him to move, there's a problem there. That is a big problem. And it's also telling you that Romo was sacrificing his body. So if you really give a damn about your quarterback, you really need to sit his ass down. I'm just saying. For health reasons. But of course, no one cares about that, right? Just get out there and win. Like I said, I would be saying the same thing if it was my team as well, or any other player who's taking shots just to get better, to get back out there on that field. That is wrong. If you have a legit injury, guess what? Sit down. That's what you got to do. Don't tell me, oh, you got to cover up the pain and take this. It's one thing if you give him some aspirin or something, something's hurting or something. That, okay. But someone who can't do anything with his back like that, that's crazy. You have to give him an injection? No, that's wrong. That's not enough. That's not a good enough excuse. However, this is the biggest excuse. I love this excuse coming up. Let's get into this because this guy keeps going on pretty much diarrhea of the mouth on why there should be some excuses more for Tony Romo to win against the Eagles.
Well, Romo has had 10 days to prepare for this matchup. He says that physically he feels a lot better, so we'll see if his performance improves compared to the one he had Thanksgiving. We saw what he did once he got back to his regular routine going into the matchup last week against the Chicago Bears. Having those 10 days off should help Romo and his offense a whole lot, Brett.
Tony Romo had about as much time to prepare for the Eagles as the Eagles had to prepare for the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. All right? No excuses. You know what? Actually, the Eagles had less time because they had to fly out to Dallas. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not trying to hear, well, he needed more days to prepare. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not. This is what I mean. They made excuses all the way up to the game. And it got to the point where even our president, that's right, our president took shots at the Eagles. And Raiders fans took shots at you as well.
You know, you go into the Eagles stadium and or the Raiders stadium, and folks are hollering at you, throwing stuff at you, and you're the opposing team. Sometimes, I think in politics we forget that we're not actually on different teams. We're all trying to make sure people have jobs, have opportunity, have health care, our kids get a chance to go to college, and that we're keeping ourselves safe from terrorists. And it'd be useful for us every once in a while to just remind ourselves of that.
So you going to take shot at my fan base and the Raiders fan base. That's how you going to get down, Prez? Is that how you going to do things? And thanks for letting us know that, all you guys in Congress, you're all on the same team. Thanks for letting us know that. I hope people pick up on that one. But it's amazing how you can sit here and say that about fans. Now, mind you, when he said that, this was days way before Eagles-Cowboys. But he decided he wanted to, to step on the Eagles as well, and the Raiders, But it's absolutely ridiculous. When's the last time he's been to an Eagles game? He went on to say that SportsCenter is the only way he gets his information from sports. Well, if that's the only way you get your information from sports, Mr. Obama, then guess what? You are out of the loop. Then again, if you look at the way you're handling things in the economy, you're out of loop with that as well. So as far as I'm concerned, we have nothing else to talk about, especially until you decide you want to help with the college system and the scam of books and things of that nature for these students. It's amazing. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, before I even get started on the Eagles game, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Temple, just not too long ago, here in Temple, all right, they decided they're going to build a library and put an automated robot system with an arm that's going to retrieve books That's right. A robot that's going to retrieve books. But you got the money for that, but you're going to keep, raising the tuition of the Temple students, and you're going to keep raising the book prices of the Temple students. But you got enough money, to make robots to retrieve library books. Don't get me started. Let's get on this damn game. Let's get on it, all right? Eagles, Cowboys. Oh, all right, let's start. Kickoff. Huff. Let's get something straight here. Everybody wants Huff cut. Everybody wants Huff fired. Everybody wants him gone. Let's get something straight. That is Huff's problem. Now, Chris Collinsworth said, this isn't Huff's problem. The ball was 10 yards away, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter if the ball's 10 yards away. The teammate is pointing to Huff and saying, this is you. Because it is him. Because it's past the teammate. I want to call him Aubrey Huff because of, hockey. But Huff has to step out. You should know when it's coming. And what did he do? He didn't do that. He hesitated. He waited. So what did he have to do afterwards? He had to dive headfirst and try to catch the ball. It's a joke. So, Eagles pretty much spotted the Cowboys 7 points. That's what they did. They were going to score to 20. There was no doubt about it. Eagles made a bad mistake. Okay, now let's get something straight. The next one. These referees. The refs really, and I say this, really pissed me off in the first half. Because, as we saw, the Cowboys' drive was ending. It was done. They didn't have nothing else to do. They were done. Alright? They're getting ready to go to the next play. And what happens? The referee throws a flag. You cannot throw a flag 7 seconds after a play is over. You can't do that. They're getting ready to start the next play. They're already damn near in the huddle lined up. They're getting ready to come out the huddle lined up, and you throw a flag. You can't do that. Even Chris Collinsworth, once again, he was like, I can't believe they just did that. What are they doing here? And the thing is, though they got the call right, you've missed your window of opportunity to call it. It's that simple. So the refs, when they made that call, it extended the Cowboys, and they scored a touchdown off of it. Why? Due to the fact that they were right there near the goal line. They weren't going to do anything. It pushed them up. It did. So that was it. So you spot them 14 points. Of course, Cowboys scored. Let me talk about this offense. For those who don't know what I'm talking about right now. The Eagles' offense did not get a first down until 4 minutes into the second quarter. Into the second quarter? Are you fucking serious? Now let's get something straight as well. When Dez Bryant is scoring these touchdowns, because he had not one, not two, but three. 3 touchdowns. Let's get something straight. All of them, single man coverage. Chip Kelly or Billy Davis, whoever. Alright? Whoever you want to call your name for. At this point, when Dez Bryant has already scored 2 touchdowns on Fletcher and he can't guard him one-on-one, you need to give him some help. And you're not getting him any help. You're not changing the formation, to help him out. You're not double covering him. You're not QB spying out there to see what's going on. You're doing nothing but calling these plays, and he's torching us. And you expect us to sit here and just be like, okay, Dez Bryant's just having a good game. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to do what's best. Now, we'll put it like this. So the Cowboys were pretty much spotted 21 points in the first half. All right? They were. Now, I'll put it like this. I'm going to say this about the Cowboys, and this is the only bad thing I'm going to say about the Cowboys, because the Cowboys did what they needed to do to win. Okay? The Cowboys, your defense is garbage. There is no way in hell you can be up 21 points and let the Eagles come back. That is ridiculous. That right there, that's all I'm going to say about the Dallas Cowboys, all right? Because it's garbage. After that, Dallas went on to do what they had to do to win. So, congratulations, Cowboys, okay? I'm not going to fault you for that. And their fans, I'm not going to fault you for that, all right? However, the Eagles, on offense, I've been calling him Matt Sanchez for a while because I keep thinking Matt Barkley, Mark Sanchez. You might as well combine the two because they both garbage as far as I'm concerned, all right? I will put it like this. Mark Sanchez, you overled receivers on wide open plays. You overthrew receivers on wide open plays. During desperation time in the fourth quarter, you threw interceptions. This is what I've been talking about, people. Do not trust Mark Sanchez. And now all of a sudden, they're saying, Mark Sanchez, are you going to start next week? He's like, I don't know. Fire up Foles. Fire him up as far as I'm concerned. There's talk about him getting an MRI today. Let him start. Because Mark Sanchez isn't the guy. I've been saying this for how long now? No way in hell can you sit there. Mark Sanchez is, he's back. He just needs a chance in this offense. And then you have people on Twitter. Mark Sanchez, I've been telling you for years. Mark Sanchez. No. Mark Sanchez is not starting quarterback material. He's not. Especially here. If you can't do it here, in this fast-paced offense, you can't do it anywhere, man. You can't. You might as well go play for the Jaguars. Oh, I forgot. Blake Bortles is better than you. Might as well go play for the Raiders. Oh, wait, David Carr is better than you. Where can you go to play? You are a backup. That's what you are. Don't tell me you're going to go back to the Jets. Jets don't want you. Unless, Ryan leaves, then it's a whole different story. But the fact is, I am tired of seeing Mark Sanchez deer in headlights all the time throwing these type of passes. He reminds me of Detmer. That's what he reminds me of. Every time a bad play is missed or an interception, you get these wide eyes like, oh my God, what just happened? That's what he reminds me of, Detmer. It is ridiculous. The defense can only do but so much. Them fronts, Trent Cole was held so much, and of course, once again, not called. Not called. I'm getting sick and tired of seeing Trent Cole come off the edge and getting held up high, and he's doing like this to show you he's getting held up here, and they don't call anything. The refs are not paying attention. They clearly aren't. This game was ruined for me in the first half because of the refereeing. It was. What did I say on Twitter? I said, look, refs, if you're going to make this game this way, if you're going to call this bullshit, I got better things to do. And what did I do? I came off Twitter. What did I do better? I started prepping for this video while the game was on. Because I get tired of yelling at my TV, man. I get tired of it. But you got to be kidding me if you think I'm going to sit by and just watch this circus. Because that's what it is. It's a circus. Players missing plays, fumbling the ball. It makes no, in a division rivalry playoff atmosphere, which this determined the playoffs, and this is what you do. No, that's unacceptable. Like I said, I didn't expect the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl, but I damn sure expected them to make the playoffs. Now, the Cowboys, they have, their destiny is in their hands. They play the Colts next week. You know what that means? That means we don't know if the Colts are going to put all their starters in since they clinched the playoff spot. They may just put in, bring in the backups and let the Cowboys just destroy them. We still have the Redskins and I believe the Giants. We have to win out. And both teams' fan bases are licking their chops right now because right now they're playing spoiler. That's what they're doing. That's what they're planning to do. They're looking to stop the Eagles from making the playoffs. That's all it is. It's not about winning a game anymore because they don't have a chance. They're looking to spoil us. Eagles fans understand these next 2 weeks are going to be serious. And the same problems still apply with the Eagles. All season I've been talking about it. And you know what? Finally, Jeremy Maclin confirms what I've been saying.
It's frustrating. Frustrating. I feel like it's the same thing week in, week out. Can't turn the football over. Got to execute on offense.
The same problems every week. Or, in Nick Foles' case, we can fix it. Look, this late into the season, you're still having these problems. They'll never be fixed this season. No way. This is what it is. I am so disgusted in this fucking team right now. Because I expect them to play better. Like I said, even if you don't make the fucking playoffs, you at least win the rivalry games. At least. That's what you can at least give the fans. But you can't even do that now. There is no excuse why you should have lost that game to the Dallas Cowboys. Alright? No excuse. Did they play well? Yeah, they played well in the second half, Dallas Cowboys. First half, they didn't do a damn thing. You gave them the points. You shot yourselves in the foot. But no one wants to talk about that. I guess we're going to have some apologists come in. But you got to give them credit from coming down from 21 down. No, I don't. I don't got to give them credit. They get paid to play and to be competitive. They're supposed to come back from 21 down when they're down by that much. You're supposed to try to win. So no, you don't get credit for that. This is ridiculous. But yet we're still going to have Eagles fans. And I've been seeing it since last night on Twitter. Oh, well, the Eagles lost, but I still ride with my team. Green, bleed green till I die. Eagles till I die. Who the hell questions your fandom? This is what really pisses me off. I see this with Flyers fans a lot, too. Now it seems like these clown-ass Eagles fans are starting to do the same thing. Eagles lose, then it's, but I'm still a fan. No one said you weren't going to be a fan after the game. I'm disgusted in my team. I'm still a fan. It don't make no sense to come out and say that. It almost feels like you're trying, like I said before, you are trying to convince yourself that you're a fan as opposed to trying to convince others. It's ridiculous. Stop that shit. Anyways, I do want to move on. I do. I want to move on to the rest of the football league. Now, as we know, the AFC, all right? We know that, the Patriots they've clinched. We know Denver's clinched. We know that Indianapolis is clinched. And we don't know what's going to happen with, I believe Cincinnati is clinched since they beat Cleveland. We will talk about that in a minute. And then we have, Steelers and Ravens in wild card. That's what we know so far. All right. In the NFC, we have the Seahawks, who, as we know, they eliminated the 49ers, so they're in. We have Arizona. We have, Green Bay. We don't know what's going on with the South yet. At least I believe the Seahawks are in, right? I believe they are. I know Arizona clinched, but the Seahawks should be in, unless they're on the wild card, on the bubble. I'm not sure. NFC South, though, I'm not sure what's going to happen. We know that Carolina is, on top now. I don't understand what's going on with the South. I predicted earlier that the Saints would win. Saints play, I believe, tonight. We will see what happens. But that South is still up for grabs. And as we know, the Cowboys are, right now, they're in the charge of the division. So, right now, like I said, so it's Arizona, Cowboys, Panthers for now. For now, we don't know. And and Green Bay. That's what we know. So Seahawks, I guess, they are in the wild card. You know what I mean? If they make it, we'll see. But it's just it's absolutely disgusting to watch this go down. And even this week, we saw a lot of blowouts. Now, I do want to talk about the Cleveland Browns, all right? Because this is the first time they've really played the Cleveland Browns on TV. They made a big spectacle because Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, was going to play. And he was going to do great things. And what did I say to you guys on Twitter? I said that the media was going to make this a joke and make this big deal. And Cleveland Brown fans kind of played it down, but the media did, all right? And I'm going to start with LeBron James. That's right. Because, ESPN, they had to have on the bottom ticker. They had to have all this stuff about, Johnny Manziel's playing. LeBron James is watching Johnny Manziel. Breaking news. LeBron James is watching Johnny Manziel warm up. That's not news. That's not news. You are desperate. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening to see how they did this. Now, I'll play this. On CBS Radio, because I was in the car before I got home to see, the breaking news from ESPN. CBS Radio was saying that the media was chasing Johnny Manziel all around the field trying to get shots of him. Pictures and recording of him while he was warming up. They weren't even stationary. They were literally running around the field trying to catch him. This is ridiculous. This is what they were saying on CBS Radio, though. All right? Any Cleveland Brown fans that were at the game, or, if you want to tell me a different story, I'll listen. I'm all ears. All right? But that's what CBS Radio reported here in the car. Okay? Now, I will put it like this. Game was absolutely atrocious. The Cincinnati Bengals dominated the Cleveland Browns. And it wasn't much as dominated as in just points-wise. If you just look the way they played, they opposed their will on them. Johnny Manziel looked horrible. And this is his first game that he apparently, prepared for. So you didn't prepare all these other games just in case Hoyer got hurt? You didn't prepare? What the hell's wrong with this dude? Seriously, I understand that you're young, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, all right? Because they love to talk about that at the end of the game. I'll talk about that, all right? But Johnny Manziel, I didn't see him playing his foot much and throw. I didn't see him step into the pocket that much and throw. A lot of it was, I'm going to roll out to the side, try to get away from defense because he's not trusting his offensive line enough. Or even the receivers to get open, because if you watch these plays, receivers are open. There's windows. There's small windows, but there's windows. And there's time. And he's not. He's double pumping when he's double patting the ball and pumping to try to throw it, which makes up for that time for a defender to close off the window so he can get an interception. You see this time and time again. He's not ready right now for the NFL. He's not. He needs to sit and he needs to practice and he needs to take this seriously. He didn't. He didn't take it seriously. Now, a lot of people will say it's not all his fault. No, it's not all his fault. It's not. There are times that receivers weren't open. There are times where his offensive line gave up on him. There were. You can't sit there and say that. But the times that he did have a chance to shine, he didn't. Clearly. He's obviously still has some mechanics problems too. I don't know why he's floating the ball so much. You're rushing out to the side. One play, he pretty much kind of like hopped in the air and threw it. What the hell are you doing? You're trying to make a play. This is not college anymore. You cannot do that. You're not going to outrun the guys really that much unless you have blazing speed, and you don't. You don't. You're not a Kaepernick. You're not a Vic. You don't have that type of speed, Manziel. You're not going to beat those guys off the edge and rush around the corner. You're not going to do that. It's very rare you will in this NFL. You do understand that you are playing against the elite. This is not, college games where you play against a bunch of bums and a couple of guys on that team are the stars. They're the elite. No. Every guy that's on a team is a serious elite player. You're not going to get past them. So yeah, Johnny Manziel had a bad game. And you know what really pissed me off? The game afterwards. He came out, he tried to own up to it and say that it was his fault and he's got a lot of things to work on. You know what? Let's hear him say that real quick, because he tries, and Cleveland fans, you have to understand. I understand you're trying to give him, some time to understand the process. Like I said, it's his first game, but you want to defend him because you want him to succeed. I get it, but when he says things like this and says that it's his fault, he's fucking lying to you because he doesn't take it seriously enough. If you don't, I'll tell you. Let's hear what he got to say first.
To come out there and lay an egg like that, and I put a lot of that on me. I don't sit here saying, I'm not using the rookie excuse. It's not me. Yeah, I'm a rookie, but that's out the window. I needed to play better. I felt coming into today that I was absolutely prepared for today. Being out there, I never felt overwhelmed or that it was too much for me. But when it comes down to it, football is football. You need to make more plays than the other team. You need to play better than the other team. And today, we didn't do that. It's
tough. It's all on him. He wants to take responsibility. He wants to say it's not because he's a rookie. So he's saying the right things, right? Okay, so it makes it sound like he's a stand-up guy right now. He's taking responsibility. No. If that was the case, if he took this seriously, then he wouldn't have been caught on the sidelines when it was 23-0. That's right, 23-0. Your defense is getting shredded because you can't put points on the damn board. You can't even move the ball. And you're going to sit here and tell me you're taking it seriously? You're on the sidelines with that other bum Hoyer. You're both sitting on the sidelines laughing it up. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean about him being a liar. Lying right to you. He's saying all the right things, but he's doing something differently on the field. When you are getting beat like that, you're getting your heads beat in your house to a rival. You going to tell me you're going to come out and say something like that when you've been clearly caught laughing? Now, a lot of people want to say now, well, he's young, he's dumb, he's immature, but he's got talent. If he's that young and he's so-called good, and first off, he's still not prepping for the other games. He wasn't. And he's that young, and you don't think that, he's ready for it? Oh, it's going to take some time. Well, if it's going to take some time, then guess what? Then give him a little bit of money. Don't give him millions of dollars then. Don't rain down all this millions of dollars on him or give him commercials when he was the backup, Snickers commercials and carrying on. You're giving him everything before he's done anything instead of making him earn it because he doesn't know what to do. He's got the money now. It's guaranteed, right? A lot of it is. So he doesn't even have to worry about it. I'm not going to prepare for all these games coming up to this one, but now I'm the starting quarterback. Now I'm going to prepare. And then you lay an egg, like you say, lay an egg. You've got to be kidding me. Yes, he's a rookie. Yeah, he's talented, but he's got to get his head straight. And there's not enough tough love going on right now that I've seen from Cleveland. Because as far as I'm concerned, since it's the dog pound, y'all supposed to be hard on him. Hard work, and he gives some hugs later when he does well. But until then, you ride on him. Don't tell me you're going to sit here and just all of a sudden, just take what he says to heart because you want him to succeed. Dude is on the sidelines laughing. Y'all been with your team for I don't know how long. Forever. All right? You've gone through moves in Baltimore, the Colts. Ridiculous. Baltimore lost their team to the Colts. So they moved the Cleveland Browns to Baltimore, became the Ravens. And now you have this team, and it took you forever to get it back. And you're sitting here watching your team get destroyed, and some little cocky hotshot wants to sit around and laugh, and you're just going to eat that up? No. I don't know what type of football fandom this is. Like I said, when McNabb did it here, we made sure to jump on him. Anybody laughing on the sidelines when you're getting beat like that, player-wise, you deserve it, fans, you deserve to jump on them. But that wasn't it. No. After all this happened, then Fox, that's right, Joe Buck, that's right, I know a lot of people hate Joe Buck. Joe Buck decided he's going to take a shot at Johnny Manziel as well.
Hi, my name is Johnny Manziel. You might know me as Johnny Football. I made my first start here in Week 15. How'd I do? Oh, I went 10 for 18, 2 interceptions, threw for 80 yards, had a quarterback rating of 27.3, and lost to the Bengals 30-0.
So it goes to show you, even when, commentators, they're doing a completely different game, and they're going to go out of their way to take a shot at this guy because of the way he acted. This should tell you something. It really should. Now, of course, Troy Aikman tried to give him credit, Manziel credit, and say, well, I had a horrible start, in my first year, and look how I turned out. And, everyone's like, yeah, look how he turned out. But not everyone's Troy Aikman. Johnny Manziel doesn't have the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s. All-pro front line, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. No, Johnny Manziel doesn't have that. So you can't say that. If you're going to look that far into the future with Manziel, then you are making a dangerous mistake. You do it season by season. You know how that goes. Matter of fact, after this season with the Cleveland Browns, you should be looking at him on the offseason to see what he does, to see how he acts. Because that's where you find out if your quarterback really gives a damn, in the offseason. If he's going to those, workouts. If he's at home, studying, the next playbook that's going to come up when the coach comes in. You say, look, this is what we're going to do for the season. Before, the preseason. Before OTAs. Before all that stuff. When they show up to the meetings. That's when you start finding out. This guy's running around still partying and carrying on acting like, I got money and throwing it all over the place. You've got a problem on your hands. He's a superstar without earning it right now. So yeah, as much as I don't, it's not that I hate Johnny Manziel, because like I said, I haven't said really much about him in my videos, because I really don't care, But when I see him sit and laugh over a blowout, yeah. Nah. That you've already gotten on my bad side. Already. That's ridiculous. But speaking of more ridiculous things, let's talk about the Griffin Force Flop of the Week. Now, of course, I was gone. Like I said, I was in the UK when this happened. But you Eagles fans and sports fans in general, you let me know. You voted on this one. You said, Event, you have to show this one. So for those who don't know, the Griffin Force Flop of the Week goes to the Seattle Seahawks.
Ball to make.
The flops are getting so ridiculous now that it's not just us fans who are tired of it. Now players are getting tired of it. And for those who didn't see what happened, this player over in soccer, alright, this goalkeeper decided to flop, and a player showed exactly his frustration towards that goalkeeper. And I'm okay with players doing that because, like I said, this is about playing the sport. It's supposed to be competitive. When you do something like that, then guess what? Yeah, a player should come up. Yeah, I'll help you up just to throw you back down because you know it's ridiculous. It makes the sport look bad. And speaking of sports that are starting to look bad, the NBA. I don't understand this. Look, the NBA has become such a joke that now they're not even calling travels. We saw it with Dwayne Wade before with the 7-step travel. Now Corey Brewer gets away with it and nothing is called and no one questions it. This happens way too often. As far as I'm concerned, this is something that needs to be looked into. Obviously, the referees are not doing their job. They're letting things go for simple entertainment. But this always goes, when you see something like this and it's not called, it goes all the way back up to the top. Adam Silver, this looks bad on you. You were the commish, that's it. Alright? The players should be ashamed of themselves. Corey Brewer knew what he did wrong. He knew, and yet still wasn't called. I don't understand how something like this you can even get away with. It goes to show you the lack of talent. And I say talent, I don't mean as in the players. I'm saying the referees. How can you not spot that? You were trained to spot that, just like players are trained to play. Come on, 7 steps, and you let it go. Ridiculous. Last I checked, and like I said before, everyone said, well, it was called. Last I checked, it was not called. It wasn't. So if something happened after that, like I said, I've read articles. All of them say it wasn't called. All right, all of them say it. So it's disgusting. It really is. Like I said, this week is just fucking disgusting. It just is. Like I said, you step out here in Philadelphia, I'll tell you, you go out here in the morning, it was quiet, like a mouse. It's like the Cowboys just took the hearts out of fans. And I'm sure Cowboys fans want to hear that. But speaking of taking the hearts out of fans, the Philadelphia 76ers. Yeah. So, want to keep losing? I don't understand this. We've been told that this team was about getting young and getting strong, young and vibrant and talented. And we said, hey, look, this isn't working. But the only bright spots that we had on this team was Michael Carter-Williams, Nerlens Noel, KJ McDaniels, and Davies. And what did you do? You traded Davies away for AK-47, for Andre Karolinko. That's what you did. What's he going to do? Nothing. He's going to sit back, and it's the same thing that we hear time and time again. You want to get paid? You want to do nothing to get paid? Go to Philadelphia. That's what he's going to do. And today, for those who don't know, they went and signed a forward from Turkey. He'll be here in 48 hours to play with the team. Who cares? You're not going to win anything. You're done. You went and got an aging player with a contract, and you think that's going to help your team? It That's not going to give you any bench depth. Is he going to start? What's going on here? Because he's not that good. But you went and got Andre Karolinko. Stop. Stop. Just stop. Stop. Where's the Summer League team? Go back down to the D-League. And for those who don't know, they did sign a couple guys from the D-League from the 87ers. Yeah. So now they call them the Sevens. They're garbage too, but you know what? What else can you do at this point? The roster is still, on paper, still looks better than last year's roster, but they aren't playing as a team. They aren't. They're standing around watching people go ISO. Sick of it, man. And they almost beat, Memphis. And then what happened? Connolly happened. Dropped 36 points on them. Got the game time, the send in overtime shot, send in overtime, and then the Sixers lost by 5. Brett Brown will talk about something. It was gut-wrenching, but I'm still proud of my team. Every game you're proud of your team. Every game. It's almost like just get sick of this. And you expect us to sit and watch this crap? Is that what you expect to do? 1 and forever. That's what we're going to call it for now. The Sixers record. 1 and forever. Because you ain't going to get any better. By the time this team is rebuilt, Brett Brown will be gone. Whatever. I'm done with it. I'm fucking done with it with the Sixers, man. I want to talk about fighting. Yeah, Ultimate Fighting, UFC. Look, I believe this is 2 videos back-to-back now. I'm talking about CM Punk here. As you know, CM Punk has been signed to the UFC, and there's been a monumental amount of hate for it, which I don't know why. And I want to talk about this because it's amazing how people were okay with Kimbo Slice getting his shot in the UFC, and we saw what happened with Kimbo Slice. All right, but no one had that many problems with it. You know, UFC guys did, but not many fans because they saw that he can knock people out, you know, via YouTube, you know, whatever, street fights. So they didn't want to give him a chance. We saw what happened with Kimbo Slice. CM Punk has been training in jiu-jitsu for a while now. So it's not like he doesn't know what's going on. I know some of you people will say, well, Event, you know, there are more people who are qualified to be in the UFC. I agree. But you also have to understand Dana White did this as a business thing. Look, CM Punk, if they can sign Kimbo Slice, who had a small following, and I say that compared to CM Punk, who has a huge following, and you saw the reactions he's been getting, right? Soon as he was signed, all types of fighters coming out. Oh, he doesn't deserve to be in the UFC. Jose Canseco came out and challenged him to a fight. All these people, the Green Ranger, that's right, came out from Power Rangers, came out and challenged him to a fight. Was it Jason David Frank? And he has an MMA record. He can fight. He's a martial artist. But he challenged CM Punk to a fight. It seems as though this is what they wanted. This is the reaction they wanted. As the days go by, I'll put it like this. Dana White, if you want to make this bigger than what it is, put CM Punk on all the fucking time. And I say this because put him on the mic. Put him on the stick. If fans think that he can't handle his own, and you want to see him handle his own, then put him in the Ultimate Fighter. Put him in there then. You don't need to, you don't need to just sign him and throw him into a fight. Now, for those who don't know, Dana White already said he's going to be fighting at what? 175, 185? And they're not going to start him as a title fighter. No, he's not going to be like Brock Lesnar, who had an abundant amount of wrestling experience. They said they're going to start him at the very bottom. Very, very bottom. Okay? So that's what they're going to do. This is not something that's a high-profile guy. He's going to start all the way up. He's just going to get a push. That's not how it works. Now, also, I want to talk about the UFC, where, for those who don't know, they're talking about wearing standard uniforms for fighters now. Next year. They have signed a deal. I'll put the link in the info bar. They have signed a deal with Reebok. That's right. That they're going to sit here and do this. They're going to make players, you might as well call them players, I have uniforms now. They're going to make fighters wear standard uniform. They cannot have all their sponsors and things of that nature that they come out with on their clothes anymore. That's not how it's going to work anymore. So that's going to affect their money. You understand that, right? That's going to affect the fighters' money. They're not allowed to do it leading up to a fight or during a fight, which means the only time they can do it is outside the octagon. So, like I said, I will leave that, that link in the info bar for you because a lot of fighters are very upset, especially when Diaz, he's upset. But we just saw what happened with Diaz over the weekend. He got destroyed. He knew better. And this guy, he was 5 pounds overweight. He didn't show up to the, he didn't show up to some of the meetings. Was it the press stuff? The interview he walked out of. Why do you keep this guy on the roster? He doesn't care. He doesn't feel as though he's getting paid enough, so he's not going to care enough. He's out of shape. He got destroyed. Those leg kicks, man. Leg kicks. All right, you know what? I want to move on. I want to move on to boxing. I just want to do it because the time difference. I want to move on to boxing. For those who don't know, a big travesty happened over the weekend. For those who did not see Timothy Bradley versus Diego Chavez, This was something, let me tell you something, very exciting fight. Very inside, I'm just going to pound the hell out of you type fight, all right? Both fighters, there was a lot of accidental headbutts, lots. And it started to show. There was at least 3, 4, almost about 5 of them, about, say, in the first 5 rounds. All right, there's about 5 headbutts the first 5 rounds. It was just sad because Timothy Bradley, he won this fight. He did. And the judges chalked it up to a draw. Timothy Bradley, he won this fight off of punch stats. All right? Volume of punching, connection, percentage. Then you look at his power punching, more percentage. Like, there's nothing that Timothy Bradley didn't do. Now, if you look at both fighters, let's be honest here. Timothy Bradley looked like he got hit by a bus. All right? The one side of his face was completely swollen. His eye was shut. Diego Chavez had a little mouse under his eye, and he had a knot over top of his eye from the headbutt, but that actually went away. His corner did a really good job of containing that, so that wasn't the big problem. You have to fail to realize that when hematoma sets in, when you're fighting, you get hit in the face, and you're talking to a person, when they get hit in the face, hematoma sets in a lot. It does. But when hematoma sets in, a lot of people who don't know how to judge fights will look at it and say, he got his ass whipped. That's what they'll do. They'll look at the guy's face. This is why you always hear the old saying, wow, you look hurt, and the other guy says, you should see the other guy. You always hear that, because hematoma sets in differently for different people. All right, so when Timothy Bradley, even though his face is sitting out to here, he actually won the fight. He did. Like I said, punch stat shows he was clearly the better boxer that night, clearly the better brawler that night. Diego Chavez showed that he can fight. He showed that he can do it. He showed that he's a contender. So as far as I'm concerned, win or loss, that guy deserves another fight somewhere. You know what I mean? And it's funny because when they called it a draw, Timothy Bradley was upset, which he should be because he won that fight. Going by the stats, he won that fight. Almost makes it sound like Pacquiao Bradley, I know. But he won that fight. And then you look at Diego Chavez's corner, and they're happy. They're chanting his name, and they're happy that they got a draw. Because Diego Chavez doesn't have a great record here in the States. He doesn't. He doesn't have any wins in the States. So this was his win. Apparently, his draw. It's kind of weird the way it happens. But in Argentina, the guy was like, what, 22-0 or something like that? 21, 22-0? Something like that? So in Argentina, he's, the guy can box, comes over to the States, doesn't get a fair shake every once in a while. And we saw not too long ago when he fought against Brandon Rios where he got disqualified. So, yeah, But they were happy to come out with a draw. And that's really weird for me to see because when you're fighting, you're a fighter, you want a clear-cut winner. If you don't do it, because you're trying to, be the dominant winner, you don't want to leave it up to the judges. But then when the judges do something like that, and clearly these rounds, Diego Chavez, I'll say, won about at least 4 or 5 rounds max. But the judges, this is what boxing is, judges. And there was a lot of other screw jobs that night too. And HBO, they called Jim Lampley and Max Conan, they called it. Roy Jones, I don't know why Roy Jones is still talking on TV, but whatever. They called it. It was like, this guy, he lost. Clearly he lost it. It was, if you watch the card, the entire card, crazy. There were so many screw jobs, and it just seemed like it was a bad night for boxing for HBO. It seemed like the Showtime fights were better than the HBO fights, judging-wise. So, yeah. Like I said, there was so much going on this week between UFC being on Friday and Saturday, and that was a whole card of stuff, especially with the Ultimate Fighter in the women's division. Friday, it was all UFC. Saturday, you had UFC that started, with Junior Dos Santos and all those. It started at 4, and it went all the way up to, 8? And then you had boxing at 9, and then at 10 on 2 different channels, and it's hard to keep up with everything, as you can see. But I try to, especially with the boxing and the UFC. I don't really talk about UFC that much because you kind of get what what you're paying for with UFC. Dana White, not too long ago, if you haven't seen his Twitter, said that, he's really worried because fans are leaving. They're abandoning the sport. And the merchandise sales are not great. And he's really, worried about what's going on with the UFC. Even though he's making these great fights and, these good deals with, with fighters, it seems like the UFC has some problems right now. And I wouldn't say, I'll put it like this. The UFC is having problems, but it's nothing that says you should be worried they're going bankrupt. It's just, it's just a little dip that, all fighting, programs, promotions go through. It happens. So, especially with boxing hasn't even recovered yet because they keep thinking that they're big enough to be pay-per-view when they're not, especially with that type of judging. You can't do that. So, I'm just letting you know. And for anyone who says UFC is better than boxing now, if you haven't realized, most of these fights, when they start off like boxing. Lots of guys, getting in rhythm. They don't really throw a punch. And as soon as that happens for like a minute or so, you only see a couple punches because they're trying to feel out their opponent. You get people start booing and getting mad. And no, understand, at this point, UFC, the fighters are starting to learn a little bit more now how to throw their hands and how to feel opponents out. It's not just, I'm just going to run at you and try to take you down and wrestle you and lay on you anymore. No, it's not that anymore. They're going to try and feel each other out and see what's going on. So if you see a lot of hesitation or feints and they don't know what to do, they just get stuck and they back away, that's why. They're backing away because they're trying to reset so they can come back in. But it seems like people who are watching these fights, they don't see that. They just want to see people just punch each other in the face all day and think that, the instant gratification when it comes to that fighting, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. But it seems like this is what fans want. And fans aren't getting, apparently, what they want, so they're walking away. Well, where are you going to walk away to? Are you going to go to Bellator? You going to go to Pride is pretty much done. You going to go to Dream? Is that what you're going to do? I mean, seriously, where are you going to go? You going to go to the K1 circuit? You going to go back to boxing? What are you going to do? And speaking of boxing, as we know, Floyd Mayweather says he wants Manny Pacquiao on May 2nd. Manny Pacquiao has responded and said there's nowhere to run. Should be an interesting fight. We'll see if it happens. They need to make the deal, get it over and done with. Like I said, I don't care who wins. I just want to see the fight go down, as far as I'm concerned. Take your bets on whoever you want. Don't care. But I do want to see a good fight. And I do want to see a rematch. We'll see what happens. And for those who don't know, Keith Thurman just actually called out Floyd Mayweather and said he will knock him out. And said he's not afraid of Mayweather's power because when was the last time Mayweather knocked somebody out? Who was it, Ortiz? So, yeah. Anyways, I'm done with the video for today. Lots of sports. There was still a lot to still cover, and I didn't. I know. But still, I'm pissed off about the Eagles. I'm very upset with them. They should be ashamed of themselves. That was, a tough game, but now they have to win out, and they have to hope that Dallas loses, some game down the line. This is going to come down to the wire as far as I'm concerned. And I do appreciate ESPN for what I've seen so far. I'm saying this. I appreciate that ESPN isn't showing much of the Cowboys-Eagles overnight. No, they're showing a lot more. They're showing more San Francisco for what I've seen. San Francisco, Seattle. More of Manziel than anything. Yeah. So I appreciate that because last thing we need is, more idiots like Skip Bayless coming out and running his mouth about the Cowboys. Even though he was like, the Eagles should win this game. He said that last night. They should win this game. And you can tell he was trying to set up as a trap. You should have won. You should have won. So if you do win, not surprised. And if we win, ha ha ha. He tried to set the trap. I'm not fooled, Skip Bayless. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.